With relaxed COVID-19 travel restrictions, most Kenyans living abroad opted to come back home. But that journey has proved more of a nightmare. Under the new guidelines set by the government, it has become a headache getting an air ticket back to the country as regulations outlined by the government kept changing. Tonight, Faizal Ahmed tells us about the agony of a Kenyan couple that had to travel from Nicaragua through the United States and the costly COVID-19 tests.
The Kenyan skies may have been open for foreign travel from early this month. But trips into the country have had their fair share of turbulence for Kenyans returning to the motherland from other destinations. Wamoyu Kariuki and her husband Joss left the country 2 years ago on a quest to travel the globe on their motorcycles. However, their trip was cut short following the COVID-19 outbreak.
It's 14th of March and we are leaving Costa Rica into Nicaragua. Of course, the coronavirus has changed travel dynamics, and so we also have to adapt to the new coronavirus rules.
They had no option but to cut their adventure short and return back home.
We are at the airport trying to find if we can get a ticket.
This was the beginning of a nightmare.
The biggest challenge we noticed was testing, because you need to have symptoms to be able to get a test. And when you're doing it for flying, you're not a priority.
After 4 months, the couple managed to travel to the US, and while there, they had to get tested for coronavirus before traveling to Kenya. The tests, an expense that was not foreseen.
The results must be issued between 96 and 120 days. About 6 days later, that changed, and now we needed to be tested within 96 hours of travel, but they didn't specify exactly what test. So we went and did another test, and then that changed again in like 3 days, and they said it has to be PCR only. So we did 3 tests for us to be able to fly out of New York.
The airline an individual uses gives them the required guidelines to the country one is traveling to, coupled with extra regulations put in place by the airline itself.
So the information comes through the airline. They give you the requirement of the country you're traveling to, and they give you the requirement of the airline. So you must comply to both requirements. So we had to comply with the requirements of Kenyan government, Emirates Airlines, and because we were being held, we were having a layover of 20 hours, we also had to comply with the requirements of UAE government to be able to stay in the airport for 20 hours.
On landing, another long list of mandatory requirements awaits the travelers.
When you register, you give them all your details, where you're staying, the address, next of kin, how many people are living in that house, if any, the driver who picks you from the airport. So you give all that information. Should there be a case where you have to go to the hospital, maybe you develop symptoms, then they will come and get all those people.
The couple opted to rent a house away from their family until their quarantine days are over. They, however, plan to revisit their global expedition once the pandemic is over. Faizal Ahmed, Citizen TV, Nairobi.